we're live. Welcome everybody. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning to the parts of the world where it is morning time, especially Austin, from where our very own Sunny Brown is joining us. Hello, Sunny.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. It is so good. It's an honor to have you over. And we are waiting for a few people to join us. Right now, we have about 7 people. Guys, we are finally online and we are live. If you can hear us, please join us.
Yes, please join us.
Let us know if you can see us and you can hear us. Okay. So, comments have started coming in.
Will I be able to see them too?
Are you seeing that on the screen? Yes, you'd be able to see them. Can you see a comment on your screen?
Yes.
Yes, this is where the comments would be appearing. Okay. All right. So yes, you'd very much be able to see them.
Wonderful. That's so great. That's so helpful because then I can respond in real time. You're so ahead of the curve, Sahir. You're already like teaching me something.
Not at all. Not at all. This is something I did a crash course like last night only. And I was
Good thing your husband is so technical. Your husband is a technical wizard. Helpful.
My husband is very helpful, thank God. So he helped me, design the frame and everything.
Oh, wondered. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So that all he has helped me with, and Abhi, as we speak, he's behind cameras and he is just a call away if, God forbid, there's a tech glitch. We have Ruhefa with us. She actually is a therapist, and she is also a teacher, an educationist, a very involved mother. And she runs a business here by the name of Toy Chest Pakistan. And she has a lot of fans and followers. And she goes to schools, and she is our gamification expert.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So she actually has gaming sessions in school. And she has joined us today, and she's saying she's super excited, and so am I, Ruhefa, to have you here. Then we have Kurat. Kurat, hi. Kurat is also one of the admins of another Facebook community, which is very active. In fact, 2. One deals with postpartum depression, and one deals with teenagers and their issues and challenges and how to deal with them. So Kurat is also a power mummy and one of our community leaders. She's with us today.
Oh, it's wonderful. Nice to have you here.
Thank you, people. Please keep sending in your intros, your names. We have here.
I have a question, Sahir, which is, if I chat in here, will it be able to be shared with everyone?
I can post it, and then we can. It will be able to. Everyone would be able to see it. Yes.
Okay, so good. I might send links in the process or something.
Yeah. Keep coming in, guys.
I'm going to share a bunch of examples of visual thinking while people are coming in. See if you get this. Good evening.
Good evening, and I've gotten it. All right. Do you want me to paste it onto? All right.
You can, yeah. Just so people can have something to look at while we're waiting for others.
Great. So, guys, here's a link with examples of visual thinking. It's flickr.com/photos. You have the rest of the address there. Kindly go there and help yourselves to some really cool, yummy doodles that have been by Dr. Doodle, Sunny Brown. And she is, of course, the mother of the Doodle Revolution. And although she has moved way beyond that and has grown way beyond that, and probably that was one of the precursors to, a lot of things that happened
Yeah.
afterwards.
Mhm.
But I still like to refer to her as the Doodle because that's how I got to know her. And I did buy your book Game Storming as well.
Oh, wow.
And that was before Doodle Revolution,
Mhm.
at least before I bought Doodle Revolution.
Uh-huh.
And surprisingly, I didn't know that was by you as well.
Yeah,
So,
it's funny. A lot of people don't. Yeah.
so only later I found out that you were part of that project as well. Otherwise, I thought that Doodle Revolution is where you started from.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I always refer to the Doodle Revolution as the prequel. So if it was like a trilogy, it really is better before Game Storming because Game Storming uses all the techniques, but it didn't happen in that order. Oh, look at him with his banner. That's impressive.
I've worked hard. I worked all night trying to
You
put
did.
together.
Oh my
And
goodness! I hope you got some sleep.
Actually, guys, Sunny is being modest here. She's also been up for a long time, and she's been emailing me some great slides that she'd be sharing during this session. She has plans for us, and she's going to take us through a workshop, in fact, a hands-on workshop of visual literacy for mummies. And if you want your children to join in, we don't mind at all. In fact, it'll be a lot of fun because it's basically for children, and we're doing this for your kids and our kids, and we want them to grow up and realize their potential, hopefully, inshallah. Sunny has written 2 books. They are both globally loved. One is called The Doodle Revolution. She's reading through the ticker as we speak.
I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. Did I do that?
So she's written Game Storming and The Doodle Revolution. Why I love her book Game Storming is because that's something I do with my kids all the time. Whenever they're challenged with a particular lesson, we turn it into a board game, or we turn it into an activity, a sketch, whatever.
Yeah.
And the learning curve completely, changes from the flat line that used to, this is not the curve we would ever want to flatten. And so,
Right. Absolutely.
so there are some good curves in life as well. I know it's and everybody is talking about flattening the curve, but there are times where you have to push it up, and this is one of them.
You're like, not this one, not this particular.
Not this one. All curves are not bad.
You hit that curve really strong.
So, Sunny is also one of the 100 most creative people in business, and one of the 10 most creative people on Twitter, as ranked by the Fast Company. And can we have your views on this, Sunny? How do you feel about it?
It was an accident. I think that they were looking for someone else, and then they got confused.
It cannot be an accident, Sunny. You are obviously a creative powerhouse, and I've been following you for a long time now. I absolutely love what you do, and you. Okay, so so we're starting to get comments. Would you like me to start showing them?
Sure.
So this is a big one. This is from Dr. Shaz. And she says, "Hi, Seher and Sunny. I've been a huge fan of you. Have watched your TED Talk as well on Doodlers Unite. Sorry. I have a question for you regarding that talk. You said that we as humans are born with doodling inside of us. It's native to us, and as it starts from scribbling and goes on to drawing, since it is something that is within us, if you could lightly guide us on how to boost up that skill in our kids to enhance their doodling abilities.
Absolutely. Yes. And I will do that. And when we get a little bit into the workshop, I'm going to give you, because we don't have as much time as I would love to do more deep work, but I'm going to give you the entry points into supporting and encouraging that for kids for sure. And for adults, but children too.
Great, thank you. So Dr. Shazia writes, whoa, Sunny Brown, you have a fan here. Then we have
I'm a fan of you all. You're doing such good work. To be educating your children, that is more important than anything you could be doing, right? It's like this is the future.
I swear, it's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
And especially at this point in time, Sunny, when we don't know what the future is going to be like.
Exactly.
Because with AI coming in and the world changing and, all this technology. And I think that the kids, our kids, when they join the job markets, it's not going to be the same as our world.
That's right.
They're going to have challenges of their own. In fact, I was attending a Google training session, and one of the things that stuck with me was that the future belongs to the people who ask more intelligent questions.
Yeah.
Because the answers are going to be everywhere. And this is true because there's an information overload. So unless until you know what to ask, you would just be lost in that dump.
That's going to stick with me too. It's so important. And I talk about unlearning a lot because it's like everything will be dynamic, and people and things will be constantly changing. And so we have to be willing to ask questions, deeper questions, and to keep looking and to not shut down that inquiry process. Because to your point, it's like you have to be comfortable with not knowing and keeping to ask so you can respond. But that's like historically not how we're taught. So there's a lot of work to do in terms of teaching kids how to think and how to ask questions,
Absolutely. And as mothers, I think we can play a great part in doing that.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
A lot of great minds in the world were actually trained by their moms at home rather than, going to school.
Yeah.
Edison, Einstein, whosoever, their mother's influence has been great on them.
Mothers, they don't get enough credit. Mothers are like the solar system.
As when I was working with Tony, he used to say that a baby, when he sees a mother, visually, a mother does not mean just a mother to him. It means food. It means taxi. It means a nurse. It means a doctor. It means a teacher. So he would always tell me, like you put a mom there and an image of a mom there, but the baby has so many different interpretations of it.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so true. And in his world, he could probably see it all in one mind imagination.
And I would always laugh when he said he sees you as a taxi, and I'm like, why? And you're the taxis.
See, that's good though. We need people to have that visual in their mind of how complex motherhood is so that they have a sort of recognition of the challenge that is presented to us. And you're educating too, at home now. Is everyone, just because of the situation in COVID, are schools open? What's the schooling situation there?
As of now, we are looking forward to schools reopening in mid-September. So that's what the latest is as far as schooling is concerned. But all the classes are happening online as we speak.
Oh, wow.
So schools, most of the schools have made the leap to online teaching. There are some glitches along the way, which of course would have been experienced anyways. But like I said, the role of moms is more important than ever right now because they are the ones at home who are coordinating, monitoring, supervising all this. They are expected to do more than they would usually be doing in normal circumstances. But a lot of moms, especially moms on my club, are really enjoying this because they are a set of, we're a different tribe. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so we have Sayyida Rafia Mamuji here as well. She's saying good evening, both of you. She runs her own business. She's an entrepreneur. She's also the lead for Ladies Fund here, which empowers a lot of women, and she works with them to help them realize their potential. We have Namra Maham Mirza, and she's saying that she's never seen such a start of any live session.
Is that good, or is that?
I hope that that is good. All right. And then we have Faiza. She's joined us and she's saying hello. We have Seher who's saying, please share how can we introduce doodling for kids who lack analytical thinking? As I consider it a higher level of thinking process, can it be taught?
Analysis, yeah. Yeah, definitely. I will show later, if we have time, I will show these things called thinking moves. There's this wonderful book. I love this book. It's called Making Thinking Visible. And it actually unpacks what they call thinking moves. And there's 14 on the slide that I have. And so analyzing really is like asking questions, digging deeper, opening up the box of like turning over a rock. So it has processes that you train your mind to do, So,
yeah. And it can be taught, as in you can train yourself, right?
Yes,
absolutely. Your child, for that matter, obviously.
Yes, practice, yes.
Great. Okay, so this is answered.
I know, I'm sorry. I thought you could like click on that flickering. People are scrambling if they're typing it in. It's like, oh.
Okay, so also another question, which is less of a question and more of curiosity. What is it like being inside a doodler's head? When you doodle, is it like decluttering your head full of thoughts? This is by Dr. Anam.
Mm-hmm. I love that question.
Sorry, Anam also heads a community. She's a community lead of Creative Mamas Global.
Oh, amazing.
And she has more than 30,000 women in her group. And I'm sure that whatever answers she finds from our talk, she would definitely be sharing with her community as well.
Oh, well, I kind of want to ask you this because you have over the years sent me incredible work. And that's why I was saying, when you were saying, you've been paying attention to my work, but I've been paying attention to yours too. And so that's why I always felt so bad when I'd be overwhelmed and wouldn't be able to respond right away, because the work that you're sending is incredible, it's breathtaking.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think that is an accident. Much. There's no process. It sort of just happens.
Right. Practicing. And so I want to know, when you're doing that work, what's happening inside of your head? Are you aware of what's happening inside when you do that kind of focused work?
No, I'm not aware of what's happening inside of my head. It's more of, for me, it's like a concentration tool. So when I'm sitting probably in a meeting or a lecture or whatever, it's sort of a habit to go into that, because I would then be writing the words in doodlies as well, and I would be making sketch notes and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the patterns, because some of it is called Zentangling, and I have self-learned that somewhat through books only. And those patterns are supposed to help you. The repetitive pattern actually, eases your mind into getting into that focus. It was started because I had carnal syndrome, and my thumb would mostly be numb, and I needed some sort of an exercise for my thumb.
Wow.
And this just came along, and I started doing it and liking it. Sort of become a habit now. So, and honestly, this is the only time when I don't feel that my thumb needs any kind of support or anything.
Wow.
So that's what's happening inside my head. It's not decluttering the thoughts, but it's certainly filtering what's going in.
Yeah, it's interesting because for Dr. Anum, it's like it depends on the context, you know. So there's no one thing that happens, and everybody's experience is different. So for some doodlers, it does declutter, meaning that the focus becomes really clear and the energy is channeled, and they suddenly find themselves like everything else has dropped away, and they're just completely in the moment. That can happen, and it does happen. And some people do that on purpose, but it's so context specific, you know. So if you're in a classroom, it's a very different activity internally. So I love the question, but I think that it depends on the situation, you know.
Great. Our next question is from Faiza Khan, and she says, "My 10-year-old son, who is always doodling, is watching this with me as we speak." That is great. Thank you for bringing it over. And he's saying we're excited to see what Sunny has to say. Great. Thank you very much for bringing your son over. And I'm sure that you both would definitely be enjoying her session once I hand it over to her. Thank you for being here. Faiza, stick around because we have a lot of things in store for you. Okay, another question for you. Since doodling, as you said, has been a misunderstood career option or skill since the 17th century, what was some hurdles that you jumped or straightened out before you opted this as your main career?
Should I answer that first?
Yeah, please. I think because there's another part to this question, but I think let's handle this first.
So what's great about doodling and info doodling and visual thinking is that it proves itself. It proves its own power. So there are always skeptics, and we talked about that a little bit earlier, Sahir, that it depends on, you know, how receptive people are. But ultimately, when you integrate visual thinking or visual literacy, it shows up in a way that's really powerful. So it doesn't have to be, it's not a hard sell once people practice it. You know what I mean? So it makes a promise and it delivers on the promise. So I'm really, when I started to get interested in visual thinking, and I knew it would be a difficult conversation to have for a lot of organizations. So I would just say, let's just try something. Let's practice something. Let's solve something. Let's look at something. And then it very quickly starts to become interesting to people because it is a native language, right? And I'll talk a little bit about that in the workshop. So thankfully, once people start practicing, then they really understand how valuable it is right away. And that helps, you know.
Absolutely. So does age play a factor when you're like, I was discussing my mom with her that, you know, for her, these things are rather new.
Yeah.
So does age play a part? Is the youth more open to exploring these than the older people that you deal with?
Definitely. And that doesn't mean there's no older people that are open. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean there's no young children that are close to it, but it definitely is generational. And so I was myself on the edge of being so skeptical. So when I was first introduced to visual thinking, I was actually resistant to it, very resistant. And because I had been schooled, right? I went to schools too, and they taught me that the most important thing is like language and reading and writing and arithmetic. So I had that programming, if you will.
Yeah.
So I had to overcome my own prejudice about it, and it's natural to have these resistance. It's very natural, and it is generational, definitely. And I think, thankfully, young people, because young people are swimming in visual information now, so they don't even realize how much they're taking in, and so they're much more open for sure. But they still have a lot of fears, so we can talk about that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, this leads to a question I've had. When did you start doodling, and how did you start doodling?
I think I was probably 27 or 29, so I was older. And I was actually writing about this the other day because I was a bookworm. So like you have all those books in your house.
Yeah.
That too. I love books, and I was like lived at the library, and I was obsessed with language, and I studied journalism and linguistics. So I studied in French and Spanish. So I was very language focused. And I didn't draw, I didn't sketch, I didn't doodle even in the margins in school. So I was not a likely candidate to be Dr. Doodle, you know. But but I do remember always feeling like something was missing. So when I would try to explain things to people, I would always be like gesturing and seeing it in my mind. I could see visual information in my mind, in my imagination, but I didn't know how to bring it out of myself and onto a page. So when I finally got introduced to visual thinking, it was like a light bulb. I was like, oh my God, this is what I am looking for. This way of speaking, if you will, this way of explaining. So I was ready for it, but it was late in life. It was later in life.
Great, great. So, coming to the second part of the question, how did you convert the people who wouldn't believe? Like she's already, I think, answered that it sort of convinces the audiences itself. And once you start and get into the practice of expressing yourself visually, the way, I mean, it's quicker, it's simpler, it's so much more powerful than putting words in linear lines on paper and listing them as a list of 20 overwhelming tasks to do rather than 20 cute drawings to look forward to. I think that sort of sells itself once you start giving it a chance. It's just that you have to give it a chance.
And yeah, and I can add something to that, which is when you're in the business of trying to persuade someone to do something, it's really useful to meet them where they are instead of where you are. So if I'm talking to an architect, for example, then I will use the references to buildings and I will talk about why it's about, which architects would already know. But it's like pay attention to who your audience is and understand what language it speaks to them. So if I'm talking to a salesperson, then I'll be like, it will support you in communicating and explaining yourself better. So I'm very aware of who I'm talking to and what is appealing to them, not what is appealing to me, right? And that changes the conversation. And then also I'm very sensitive to, are they open-minded, right? So if I don't spend energy on people that are not, like, definitively not open to it. So, and once I figure that out, so I just I told you, I live in Texas, and I went to a literacy panel, and the school administrator was very excited about the Doodle Revolution, and but the teachers were not. And I was very clear, and I was like, I will come back in 2 years, right? Y'all aren't ready. You're not ready. You're not receptive, and you're not ripe. So I don't beat people over the head. It's like, if you're not ready, I'll come back later, when you are.
Exactly. And I think in our experience also, when we come across a lot of teachers who are resistant to change. They're really reluctant to change their teaching methodologies or
Yeah.
the students' learning methodologies. And sometimes one wonders that, I mean, that's exactly what their job is, to make learning fun for the kids rather than, because I believe that teachers and mothers and fathers, we all have the obligation to raise learners.
Yeah, right.
Learning does not stop after high school or a degree. Learning has to be a continuous process.
Yes.
And I can never understand people who feel that I've learned and that's about it, and I'm good at what I am.
Yeah.
And I can never understand those
That's
people.
not your nature. You're so curious. Like, you'll always be curious, but it is threatening. Like when you have if you're a teacher, right? Teachers are supposed to be the experts, right? So they're supposed to stand in front of the classroom and have all the answers. And when you ask them to step into something like this, they don't have all the answers. And so they have to be vulnerable. And that is scary for anyone. So it's understandable, but it's unfortunate. And so that's why I love what you're doing with all the moms. Because moms have this power and they have this influence and they're like a force of nature, And so thankfully, even if the teacher isn't receptive, the mom can change the world,
I think that's exactly why I started the group, because I was working with Tony and we were talking to a lot of schools and teachers about mind mapping and how it can change any sort of visual literacy and mental literacy can change the way kids learn and are taught.
Mm-hmm.
And we realized that there were so many things that wouldn't make sense to the teachers, the principals, or the admin staff. But then that's how I started this group. I said, there's one person who would definitely want their child to learn this, and that
Oh,
person has to be the mom.
yeah.
And that's how I started it. In fact, I told Tony also, I said, I'm starting this because I think the only one person that who can bring about this change in the learning process is the mother, and
Oh,
that's what we're trying to do.
that makes me want to cry.
Please don't, please don't. All right. The other Rafi Mamuji asks, how can doodle art boost creativity and relieve anxiety in children?
Well, so taking the first part, so creativity, what's so beautiful about doodling is that it has endless possibilities. So it naturally is a creative process, and it also can be analytical and strategic and tactical and all that stuff, but it's definitely opens the mind to creative possibilities. So there's a lot of activities you can do that are just purely based on imagination or based on problem solving, creative problem solving, or based on like getting an insight into something that you've looked at a bunch of times, you know, like, but you think you know it and then you know it differently all of a sudden. So it's a tool. It's like a little doorway into this, like changing the state of the mind in order to understand something differently. And then anxiety, it's like, it's so calming for people. For most people, it's really soothing. Now, when you, depending on, and I'll show y'all some pictures, but depending on what you're doing, it can be scary because you're like, oh, I have to draw something in front of people, or you start second guessing yourself. You know, you start wondering if your work is good enough. Like stuff like that happens. But if you just keep going, eventually those internal narrators soften, and then you find yourself in the flow, right? And then you get, it's like swimming or something. It's just like this beautiful river you go down, you know?
Absolutely. Like, in fact, we had a warm up activity before this session,
Mhm.
and we wanted to, like, break the chains, and boy, did we have fun. We went on to do a Pictionary
Uh-huh.
online on our group, and we inboxed a lot of our members who were interested, different drawing tasks, and a lot of them were very hesitant in,
Of course.
initially hesitant, as in,
Mhm.
they said, hey, I'm on your team, but because my moderator and I, we formed two teams. Wish is the name of my moderator. So Wish Khuram and I had two teams.
Mhm.
And we asked people to just tell us whose team they would be on, and the team leader would send them a drawing task, and they have to put it up on the group, and the people would try to guess what they've drawn. So it was an interesting exercise, and a lot of people, inboxed us that, oh my God, this is too difficult to draw. Are you sure I can do it? And we were
Yes.
like, draw whatever, and you would
Whatever.
be able to do it. And if we have some time, I'll share some of those pictures with you, and I'm sure that you would love them.
Of course. Yes. You're going to share some with me?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
good. Awesome.
Okay, so the next question is, my son loves to doodle. He copies me so much that at times I reassure myself about his age. I would like to ask a bit of tips on doodling. Does that help kids learn patience? Because my child is impatient at times.
Mhm.
Shazia, your child is just 6 years old. Please remember that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what impatience looks like, you know, because he might be physically energetic, like just a high energy, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And so when there's children, like kind of we've discussed multi-sensory learning, and so when kids are impatient or they have energy, I just like say, okay, well, go run around like 10 times and then come back and see if you burned off some of that energy. Or I let them draw big. So I have like big, so you can see behind me this big whiteboard.
Yeah.
A lot of times I will set up big white spaces and let kids have room to move and let them like use their bodies and use their energy and use their whole field of experience, and that sort of gets them in the zone. It gets them in the moment. So and also asking them something that's interesting for them. You know, it's like and naming it. Say, I see you're impatient. Do you want me to draw a picture? Can you draw me a picture of how you feel impatient? Like, what's the impatient monster look like? You know, like just give them some activity that can help them name that energy and draw that energy. And that's like an interesting insight for the kids often, you know?
Oh, great. That's a great idea. I think I'll have my kids draw a lot of monsters.
Yeah. The hungry monster, the grumpy monster, the I don't want to share
Not
monster.
lots of drawing ideas you've given me. Okay, so Faiza asks that how can doodling help kids unleash their creativity? I think we've discussed that, but the other part of the question is something which you can shed some light on. Can adults get into it, especially if they haven't done this before?
Yes, Faiza, and I also started as an adult, and so it was I knew nothing about visual thinking or visual nothing, absolutely nothing, and I started from scratch. And I have my earliest drawings and sketches, and they're just so silly, like they look like a little kid is working on it. But it was just I was learning a language, and so I was just experimenting and practicing with that language. And you know, you don't have to show your work to people if you're not ready. You don't have to do that. But it is for adult, it's like it is this incredible superpower, and it doesn't matter when you pick it up. You can pick it up when you're 3, when you're 90, you know, and like that whole process is just a journey. And so it and with adults and with, you know, higher order thinking mammals, there's quite a bit you can do in terms of using it to explore the world and explore knowledge. And so it's very powerful at any stage of the learning process. Yeah.
Faiza, if I may take up this question as well, because you see, we've been trained and, like Sunny said, programmed to think since the last 200 or 250 years or so that we are either left brain dominant or right brain dominant, and we think that we can't handle the other side of our mind. It just because the other one has been, in our opinion, used more often, but that's just the conscious bit of it that has been used more often. So if you were, for example, to write poetry or write a story, so that's imaginative, that's very well, but the words you use are coming from the other side of the brain. Vocabulary is stored on the other side. And the same goes for art, for painting. So if you think you're an artist and you are bad at math, you can't be bad at math because you know angles, perspectives, scales, a lot of mathematics coming into your drawings. So the two sides of the brain are in constant communication, and although you consciously don't know that you have doodled before or you will be able to doodle, a chance, because I also started very, very late. I started even after my kids were born, and I am nowhere close to being a good doodler, but I enjoy.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second.
I am not one of the best doodlers or a doodler as such, but I enjoy doing it. That's what I do it for.
Yeah, and I'm not one of the best either. I have colleagues that are, if I was comparing myself in terms of the skill of like a beautiful piece of art that they can make, I have people much better than me in that. And I don't mind because I'm using it to think. I'm not using it to be an artist, you know? And,
Exactly.
and if something I make is beautiful, fantastic, but that's not a requirement for the practice.
Absolutely. And you would still reap all the rewards that it brings. So just don't shy away from it. If you think that you can do it, just go ahead. All you need is a pen and a paper. Okay, Namra asks, my 7-year-old daughter Ishal used to draw such characters, which we can see right now sitting on the box. So yeah, the stick figures. All right. She can tell whole stories in her mind like this on paper, but sometimes she simply leaves the activity. Is this a phase in drawing, or does that indicate her state of mind?
When she says leaves this activity, does that mean that she stops altogether?
No, I think she means she abandons the project.
Oh, she can tell whole stories, but sometimes she might just need a break, you know? But no, so I don't know if it indicates something about her state of mind. I think that if she's 7 years old, she's naturally doing that. It's really important to encourage her and to let her know that that's healthy and natural and really an indication of her intellect, you know? So I don't know what goes on in her specific situation when she's like stops, you know, the work. Maybe she's like needs to go on a walk and remember something, or needs to think it through, or maybe she started judging herself. Like there's no way for me to understand what specifically is happening, but I would say that it is an indication of her state of mind and if she's using visual thinking, and it's a good indicator. It's like she's going to be like bright and full of rainbows because she's figured out that it's a tool, and she should be encouraged to keep using it, you know?
Absolutely. Okay. So next we have a question from Umme Mohammed Ahmed. And actually, that's the suggestion. I think doodling should be done at schools as a relaxation activity for the kids.
Yes.
Comment.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm just scrolling through the questions because we are getting a few messages.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll talk about doodling as relaxation. Is it ume, you think, or It is, I agree completely. There are so many kids that can calm down once they have a marker in their hand or a paintbrush or a stick, and they can draw something in the sand. And so it is a wonderful way to get their energy channeled and to have them sit down, but like focus on something. And it's very, very regulating for the system. So I agree. I wish that it was an option, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a few questions which we took from our guests and our members before the session started.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like you, just let me use this. Okay, so one of them is from Pinish Miraj, and she says, what do doodles say about the doodler?
Well, the way I'm interpreting this question is that it has to do with their psychology.
Yeah.
A lot of times people will ask me to like do a doodle reading where it's like, oh, how do I feel about my mom or whatever. These visuals, and I don't do that kind of work because I don't think that it's not scientifically validated. But so I don't know what it means about the doodler. So if I draw a flower, you know, it could mean any number of things. And if I don't know the person intimately and personally, then I can't make a speculation. So they can say whatever you think they mean. I mean, that's an act of imagination, you know.
Okay, great. And now the other question is, can the field of doodling be taken up as a profession or a passion?
Both. Absolutely. Yes. And when I, afterward, I think Sahir will share some things with you all. And so one of those things will be a link to professional doodling images, because I have been a professional doodler for 13 years now. And there are many, many people that also are, and they may call themselves something else. They may call themselves professional visual thinkers or, you know, visual literacy advocates or consultants, you know. Whatever language gets you in the door, just fantastic. Design thinking, you know, but yes, it absolutely can be a field, a passion, and a profession. And if you're interested, I would encourage you to look into that. It could be a path for you for sure.
Great, Acha. We have another question which says, people are looking for instant results, diet, cosmetics, exercise, or anything. Does visual literacy gradually grow the mind's capacity, or is it instant? This is from Maharazi.
It's both. So you get instant insight. Like sometimes you can be like trying to sort something out, and like Einstein did this often, but you can try to sort something out, and then you start even just a simple, like if you were just making a spiral on a page, you can get an instant insight from that simple act. So in that way, it is right away. But as you continue to practice and to enhance your skills, and then it will continue to grow the mind's capacity. And that is also when I do the workshop, that I'll talk a little bit about that, how much it changes the brain over time. So it changes it in the moment and over time for sure.
Great. Okay, the next question is from Sania Asghar, and she's asking, can teachers and parents incorporate doodling to teach any subject, even math, science, etc.?
Yes, absolutely. And I think they should actually. So, because math is ultimately an equation-based version of trying to visualize the world. Like mathematics is a visual field, actually, you know? So, of course, it could be integrated, and it should be, because it helps people conceptualize and understand very complicated, you know, topography of life. And science is a perfect class. Science is like fantastic. And actually, one of the slides I'll show you. So take photosynthesis, for example, as just a process of a plant breathing and exhaling. That should be drawn. That should be explained in a visual format. You can understand it, you can read about it, but when you see it, then it's like, oh my God, I know what's happening. So those two fields are begging to be visualized. Those two fields absolutely need visual thinking, for sure.
Okay, now the next question is pretty interesting. As an art teacher, how do we explain the importance of art to parents? Because what we normally hear is that art can't feed my child, science, math, English, etc., will get them into careers.
Yeah.
So, what do you say to the parents? This is from Shalina Khan.
So that is a really wonderful and important question. So I would never call it art. So if I knew that a parent, it's a practical consideration, right? It's very reasonable. And I was the same way when I was growing up. I was like very pragmatic and very practical, and I wouldn't study anything that wasn't like, didn't have an obvious career path. So I would not call it art. I would say it's design thinking. I would say it's visual thinking. I would use some kind of language to show that it's actually elevating their intelligence, because you're having language and you're having visual language and they work together, right? So I just don't even go there, you know, because remember earlier when I was referring to if somebody's not receptive, then I don't push against that. I do not push against that. There's no point. It's waste energy. So I just show them examples of people, science. Every scientist on planet Earth is a visual thinker, for sure. And so is like every engineer, you know. So all the people that I admire, all this, okay, is there a technical difficulty? All the people that they admire. So get examples of scientists, mathematicians, and you know, literary people, and show them that they have been using visual language the entire time to enhance their intelligence, you know.
Leonardo da Vinci is one of my favorites because he would be an artist, a scientist, a mathematician all at once, and always visually think of his ideas. In fact, I read somewhere that his notebooks that were found after his death are all written in mirror language. So he actually, you know, the words he would write them, flip the word and write them.
Oh, right. Who are you talking about? Who are you talking about?
Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah. He was his brain was on fire, you know. But I was going to say, Shalina, that I am so appreciative that you're an art teacher, because art is such a powerful, it's so powerful, and it's so useful. So I know that it's hard to be like hold the flag for that value, because people are just not open to how incredible it is. So I'm just grateful that you're up to that. And I would look into research around how art supports intelligence. And maybe that would be useful to inform some of your parents, because there's like conversations about how an MFA actually makes good CEOs, you know?
Yeah.
So,
okay, so there's this interesting question on another tangent. How important is it for mothers to doodle?
It depends on your relationship with your kid. I mean, I think that it depending on how old the kid is and how independent they are and how much they're inclined to repeat your behavior, you know. But I think it's important for the mother to definitely not be uncomfortable, or to say, oh, I am uncomfortable, but I know it's powerful, I'm going to try it, you know. So I think it's mostly important to be encouraging and supportive, and to have a lot of examples of activities that awaken your child's mind. And then you step in too. So when they say, oh, I can't draw a giraffe, you say, me neither, and then do it. You know what I mean? So just like leaning into the uncertainty as an example for your children is really helpful.
Absolutely. Okay, so this question is also very interesting. Is graphic novels or books a way to have more people to read? And should such books be used to educate children in schools and colleges? This is from Ahmed Rizwan.
Absolutely, 100%. There's so many incredible graphic novels. And I don't know if you know the author Dan Pink. He wrote A Whole New Mind. And Okay, so his first book that he wrote before that book was a graphic novel. I can't remember what it was called. I think it was like The Adventures of Johnny Bunko or something. But it was a beautifully done graphic novel. And yes, absolutely, because every subject matter comes more to life when it has language and visual language, and side by side they reinforce and support each other, and they don't compete with each other. They actually awaken each other. So it's a wonderful way to present knowledge and information. Yeah.
Great. So Anila Razak asks, what is your dream project?
I love that fun question. My dream project. I think maybe I would, like, if I could just do anything in the world, uh, maybe I would do like one doodle, like one continuous visual that connects every single person on the planet, you know, like everybody makes their own contribution to it. So you see this mosaic of interconnectedness. That would be amazing.
All right. So we have another question which says, please tell us how to get young kids to ask to start doodling. And by young kids, the questioner means 7 to 10 year old.
Oh, sure. I'll do that in the workshop.
Okay, so this question was from Arsalan Khan, and he wants his kids. I think both, there's one who's 7 year old and one who's 11 year old, and I'm sure that he would love to get them started onto doodling.
Oh, good.
Okay, what are some of your hidden talents? This is from Rabia Salman.
I can sing. Let's see, my hidden talents. Oh, I'm very observant. So when I'm with human beings, because I'm a facilitator, and so I'm very aware and observant of like what people say versus what is actually happening. I'm very perceptive in that way. And also, I can't cook, but I pretend like I can. And also, I am a pretty decent writer, which is funny because I'm visual thinking lady, but I am a pretty good writer.
But that's exactly what we were discussing a little while back.
Yeah.
Somebody else's brain is on fire as well.
And I use visual thinking to inform my writing. So like I do these visual structures to do the table of contents and stuff like that.
Okay. How can we use doodling as a medium of expression for kids, especially in times of a pandemic where kids are staying at home and are being part of a crisis?
Mm-hmm.
This is Hena Sultan.
Yeah, I would encourage them to get like a specific activity. So if you give a kid a blank page and you just, ask them to doodle something, they need a prompt. Like they need what I call a fire starter. So some interesting question that they then can respond to that question with visual language. And there's so many fun and creative things. So you could say like, you could ask the question like, if you could redesign the world right now, what would it look like? And then and it could be like something very simple, but it's like give them something to chew on mentally, and then let them release that response visually.
Okay, so I think that with that, I would like to take you to a few drawings that our children, our community children have done, because we gave them a small task last week of making butterflies, and they have not necessarily just drawn them. They've gone way beyond butterflies, and I would like to show some of that work to you. Can we take a break and see the work? We'll have a visual break, guys, as we share this work with Sunny. Sunny, both of us would still be audible.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
And अभी आएगी इसको कैंसिल करना आएगा या होल्ड ऑन मेरा माइक ऑन है Share screen, application window. Guys, please give me a little bit of time because I'm trying to figure this out. There's a delay. I think there's a delay there. Sunny, what can you see on your screen right now?
You and I.
Okay. It's application window, and can you see my screen now?
Yeah, I can see it's coming up.
All right. So what we did was that we asked mummies to ask their kids to draw big, bright, nice butterflies. And these are some of the entries that we got. This is from a 5-year-old. It's so cute. I have to begin with this. And her mom wrote that, the kid said, this is all that I can do. I'm too little and this is what I will make. So this is the first butterfly that you get to see. It's
Perfect.
made by Fatima Ahmed, who's 5-year-old only.
It's perfect.
Then this is the mom herself drawing it. Like you said, jump into the activity with the kids, set that example.
Wow.
This is from an 8-year-old. Her name is Fiza.
I love it.
And right, like she's used a completely different technique to get here, right?
Yeah, right. Because she understands symmetry, which is incredible. She's like, I know how to do it. And it'll be perfect on both sides. Oh God.
Absolutely. And I loved it.
Oh.
Okay. This is by a 5-year-old and I loved it. It's a sculpture.
Oh my God, it's so good. See, that's like multi-sensory for sure, because then you got to go outside and find those things and then create something, and then it blows away, and then you can do it again. It's so good.
Absolutely. Then this is Binte Mohammed and her daughter.
They really did go above and beyond, which that's incredible.
I just loved them. And I mean, I didn't have much time, so there's just a few that we're sharing here.
Mm-hmm.
This is by a 10-year-old. Her name is Maham, and I was just blown away when I saw this.
Yeah, Maham is like confident.
Absolutely. Look at this.
Oh my goodness. Do you think that the moms are encouraging, like, do you think it was the mom's idea or the kid? Because that is like next level creative.
I would think that the mom has definitely helped with the skill, but,
Yeah,
but I'm sure that this is very much, I mean, seeing all those, cocoa beans on top, I would think the kid has also played a role there.
Okay, she ate it afterward.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for liking it. This is by a 12-year-old.
Oh, so beautiful. It looks like a flame.
I love the colors, and I mean, all of them are so different from each other.
Yeah. Isn't that nice too? There's so many different expressions of even one idea, infinite expressions of one idea.
And it was like something that we did totally randomly for your session because we wanted our kids to be involved in the session as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Mariam, who's 5 years old, and she has actually, she's drawn the butterflies, but she's used a notebook where there was already Dora, and she's put a sticker of Dora.
Mm-hmm.
Put a lot of things together to create a piece of art, and I really like that idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what's amazing is like once you have the idea of a butterfly, then you can like teach them how to think about a butterfly. So you could have a kid draw each specific part of like an antenna, a wing, the veins that are inside of the wing. Like how does a butterfly see? How does it know where to land? Like you can open conversation up with just one image, and you can explode that image outward and actually create more visuals from that essential concept.
Yes, and you can take it like just discussed the scientific bit of it, the parts of the body, or
Yeah.
even for that matter, the life cycle where the caterpillars turn into butterflies and all that. And we can look at the art part of it, where like just like this activity, they can draw whatever many number of butterflies, different butterflies they want.
Yeah.
You look at it as a literacy activity and ask them to write a story with a park, a
Mhm.
child,
Mhm.
butterflies. So the offshoots are too many to even
Yeah.
sing the size of the human imagination.
That's right. I think
Okay.
the art teacher that was here, or is maybe still here, that's a great idea to show parents how art can be instructive and intellectual by having them create something and then ask questions about that creation.
Yes, I mean, I think that would be a great idea to do with parents.
Hmm.
This is from one of the moms on the
Oh my
group.
goodness, no way. Oh my God. Shazia, didn't you introduce me to her
Yes,
earlier? Oh my
yes,
God. That is incredible. So I wish I knew how she felt when she was making it, if she was really focused and clear and relaxed, or if she was very intent and, like perfectionistic. I would love to know how that was for her.
Shazia, I hope you're still online, and if you can leave us a comment about what you were thinking and how you felt when you were making this butterfly. This it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible. I can't even take it in.
and and her introduction was basically because of her son, which who she mentioned likes to doodle with her.
Oh,
So
uh-huh.
this is what he has made. And
Oh, oh, it's so happy. And like a bee. It's a butterfly and a bee. It's like an
yes,
ecosystem and a clown. Oh my God. That's adorable. He's like, you can see the talent runs in the family.
I guess that's also because he sets the right example by being the mother that she is, and drawing it and doodling things in front of him. So
Yeah.
so there's a story behind this drawing.
Mhm.
I just read it out to you. So
Okay.
Shaka writes that conversation between me and my son. Me, Amy, only a butterfly is sufficient for today's theme. Amen. But Mama, butterfly loves to be in the garden around flowers. So
Uh-huh.
I'll make everything. So the mom goes, okay, but why is one of your flowers green? I have never seen a green flower in my life till date.
Uh-huh.
So the son goes, you remember, Mama, you showed me a black rose somewhere. There will be a green flower too in this world. So,
So good.
so she says that I strongly believe that leave the kids to explore the world, not ours, but
Yes.
the world.
Oh.
If you find some time, please take a tour of their world too. Amy loves to take me along on a daily basis to his world of pilots, firefighters, garbage vans, armies, spaceships, pirates, skyscrapers. The list goes on. I am sure you would not regret this trip. Have a nice day. And
Hmm.
I think that sort of, puts everything in perspective.
Yes, it's so good. And there's an activity we do sometimes where we have people draw a scene and everything in the scene has to be a color it would never be. Just
Okay.
yeah, just to change your perception of what normal is. And it's a very simple question, but it has profound, it starts profound conversations about why is the world like this?
Okay. And then last of all, uh, this is this is a piece of art that came in from a 12-year-old, and
Unbelievable.
and I've added it to the butterflies because this is not butterfly centric, but I still added it because it represents a lot of our cultural diversity,
Hmm.
and it's a form of art called truck art. I hope you have heard about it, but if not, I would share some examples later.
Hmm.
And it's most of our trucks are painted in poppy colors, with peacocks and flowers and gardens and fans, and there's poetry behind them, and
Wow.
there's this great art, and you would always find some universal wisdom written behind them in the simplest of words.
Wow.
Always fascinates me. So I would share those with you.
Yeah.
This brings me to the end of our share.
Mm-hmm.
I would stop sharing the screen.
So good. How do you pick what you're going to ask them to draw?
How do I pick what I ask them to draw?
Mm-hmm.
Mostly, I would look at things that are simple enough and not overwhelming when it's stated as a task.
Mm-hmm.
And also something that can be expressed in, I mean, there's too many ways to express butterflies or flowers or cars or anything that has a lot of ways to be presented visually,
Mm-hmm.
so that nobody feels like, it's too tough to draw or too restrictive. It,
Yeah.
it has to be open-ended.
What's the next one going to be? Do you know yet?
Yes, so we're done with the screen sharing, and I think it's time for you to take over. Mommy's on the group. Hello, mommies. Are you ready? Get a glass of water, grab some pens and paper, because Sunny is about to start her workshop. Sunny, would you like to take a break for a cup of tea or
That'd be
whatever?
great. I'll just go grab one real quick.
Please, go ahead. Take
Okay.
your time. We'll be waiting.
Okay, I'll be.
Yeah. I'll be talking to the moms till then. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're absolutely loving this. I think it's हमारे इंटरनेट का मसला.
Am I on the right track?
लिख तो है ही नहीं. एक मिनट. सब क्या कर रहे हैं? सबको मजा आ रहा है, नहीं आ रहा है? Guys, hello. Thank you, Namra. Thank you, Umme Mohammed Ahmed, for liking all the butterflies. Thank you, Faiza, for liking the session. Thank you, Atika, for liking the session. जाना नहीं है. थैंक यू 7-year-old इशाल, आपने अटेंड किया सेशन, आप अटेंड करिए. अभी जाना कहीं नहीं है. Sunny is going to be back and she's going to do a workshop with us. Shazia, are you still here? Vish, are you online? Please drop a hi here. Thank you, Rabia, for loving it.
And Shazia said it was relaxing listening to us.
Wow, my 4-year-old is enjoying as well. Amazing.
Oh, that's so good.
Okay. Fezzi, great efforts. Thank you.
Thank you for all the kind comments. Very nice.
Okay, Sunny, we're ready to share the screen wherever you're ready. So we can share.
Okay, I will do that now. I will share my PowerPoint. I think, will I disappear when I do it?
On your screen, you would disappear, but on our screen, we'd still be able to see you.
Okay. So I clicked share, so it is just taking a second.
Yeah, that's fine. And
so you see now? You see that?
yes, I can see it.
Okay, fantastic. So we have been talking about visual thinking, and it's a very broad field. And I'm so happy to have people in here that range from art to science to mathematics. and perhaps there's some doctors and engineers. It's a very broad field, and it can be integrated into any topic, any learning area, any topic. It really is endlessly incredible. So today I wanted to pick an application that I thought would be useful for students and for kids. And so I chose visual note taking, because a lot of times when you're trying to learn something in a classroom or you're being homeschooled, you're going to be listening to somebody talking, and you're going to be trying to capture what they're saying in some way. And most people take notes like this. So they they write them, and it's like in this very dry list type form, or nowadays people type their notes. And both of those, as you know from Tony's work, both of those are not effective, really as effective as they could be. There's a lot of missed opportunities in this. And actually, Sahir, in one of Tony's books, he describes that most children see note-taking as punishment. So
Yes.
right?
Yes.
They really don't like it. It's not responsive to how we want to learn. And so just to impress upon your audience how impactful visual information is for a human, this is the distribution of neurological processing in the brain. So the cerebral cortex, which is the outermost bark that makes us mammalian and intelligent, 75% of it is devoted to processing visual information relative to the other senses. There are more senses than 5, but these are the dominant ones. So it's incredibly powerful. And that's why I want people to wake up to that opportunity, because it's currently not being utilized. And it's so important for us as human beings. And when you integrate visual information, what you'll find is that these things happen. So you start to experience, you remember content better, you understand it better, you can communicate and share it better, you know it differently, you get insights. So there are a variety of benefits to just even start where you are. Like you do not start at an expert level, you start at a beginner level, and even at that level you get these kind of impacts, you know? So when I teach people, and I teach people a variety of different applications of visual thinking, but I want to move them from this way of understanding into a practice of this. So I want them to take content and funnel it into shapes and connectors and frames and bullets and things that are visual architectures, because that means that they're engaging with the material. So they're not just like taking it in and it's in one ear, out the other. They're actively participating in understanding the subject, right? And that wakes the mind up, it wakes the body up, and it really wakes up the heart, you know? So these are just some examples of visual notes. These are some I took in a workshop, because I want y'all to know how many different styles there are, because people often think, oh, I'll never be good enough, or I won't ever be as good as this person. And it's not about that. It's about understanding your subject and making it visual in a way that speaks to you. So like this is a Tony Buzan mind map. It's a wonderful example. And this is my friend Austin. He's a professional visual thinker, referring to the person that wondered if it could be a career. It can be, for sure. And this is somebody who was inside of a company, one of the people that I was training in a workshop. So you see there stylistically, it's all over the place, and that's good. That's healthy and natural. It's the same as language. So even if you find yourself on some spectrum where you don't perceive it's like flawlessly executed, that is not the point. The point is to understand and to explain.
It's like your individual handwriting as well. Everybody does not have the same handwriting.
That's right. And we don't want everybody to have the same handwriting, like we want that diversity of experience, and it gives people courage. It's like whenever I am teaching in a workshop, I make marks and I just do it, and I don't overthink it, because I'm going to stop myself from stepping in. But this is a very common fear, but I can't draw. And it's okay, it's understandable, but it's like, you couldn't read when you were 2 either. You had to learn that, So it's worth stepping in and learning, even though you're afraid. And this is one of the tools that I give people. So if you're at home right now and you have pen and paper, I would just encourage you to take 60 seconds and create these shapes on your page. You don't have to write any of the words, just create the shapes. This is what's called the visual alphabet. It's really powerful. So for those of you who were asking, how do you teach kids? This is a great, just like they learn the alphabet when you're growing up. It's a great entry point into simple visual language. So just take like 60 more seconds or something.
And I'm really happy that your kids are attending this with you. So जितने भी बच्चे भी हमारे पास हैं, आपने करना सिर्फ ये है कि इस विजुअल अल्फाबेट को जो यहाँ पे सामने आपको चंद चीजें नजर आ रही हैं, the patterns that you see, इनको आपने पेपर पे ड्रॉ करना. You have to copy these patterns on your paper. Whatever paper you have in front of you, कोई सा भी पेन है, कोई से भी कलर का पेन है, black, blue, green, does not matter. Just draw these shapes that you see on the screen. And you have 60 seconds or a little more to do it. So don't rush through it. Enjoy the process. मजा करें, draw करें ये छोटी-छोटी चीजें.
And if you are done and you want to draw something, go ahead and use the shapes to draw something specific, like a door or a book or anything. So in other words, if you're finished first, you don't have to stay still. You can just keep doodling.
Absolutely. So is this something you designed yourself, Sunny? Is that how you broke the process down?
So Dave Gray, who is my co-author from Game Storming, he is a wonderful visual thinker, and he looked at glyphs and pictographic languages, and he distilled this. Dave did that work, and so we use it and we teach it. But that was a gift that he gave to us for the book, and and I love it because it's so simple. It's like there's no one who can't create these things, and that's all you need to visualize any concept. And you just put them together, just like you do with the traditional alphabet. You have a letter and you put it next to another letter and another letter, and then you have a word. So it's the same idea with the visual alphabet. You take these forms and these fields and you link them together, and you start to actually create a piece of visual information that seemed difficult, but is actually quite simple. So, so if you actually look at a coffee cup or you create one, you're instinctively going to use the letters, if you will, of the visual alphabet, and everything can be broken down like that. So if you think like, oh, I need to draw a cat, then you can say, oh, it's an oval, it's two ovals and two triangles and, a cloud paw. You know what I mean? So it's so simple. It's so much more simple. And it's just a nice way to introduce people to start to see the world through this lens, so that you don't feel like you have to go to art school to create something, which art school is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I love art. However, most adults feel like this, right? So I want them to feel comfortable. So if you want to take a minute to just like find an object in your environment and use the visual alphabet to create it in the simplest way you can take a little bit of time to do that. And I was going to say something. Because a lot of times when you're in note-taking environments, it's a rapid process. So simpler is better, because when you're in class and you need to draw, the process of a cloud making rain, you need to do it as quickly as possible so you're tracking. So simple is actually useful. So
okay, sometimes when this used to happen to me when I was a kid, when I would be drawing the process or taking visual notes, I don't know if that's what they were called back in the dog ages, but so when I would be doing that, a lot of teachers would think that I'm not paying attention to what's being taught, and actually playing with my pen and my notebook, which was the exact opposite of what I would be doing. But the perception always was that I'm playing around in the class and not paying attention.
And that still goes on. I hear stories about that all the time. And so that's why a lot of times it's a natural misunderstanding. It makes sense, because it's like if you're talking about math and somebody's drawing a butterfly, it's hard for the teacher to understand how those are related. But for the student, it's like there's a reason that they're doing that, and there's like they're trying to stay present, they're trying to stay focused. However, you can drift off into your imagination. So that's why I always train people to link the auditory information with the visual information and integrate words and images together. So when your teacher or your mom comes over, you can also demonstrate that you have been like also listening to the content. You know, even if it's just one caption or one word, it's just like making this marriage between these two things so that you look like you're doing the right thing, you know? So now I want to play this game. This is one of my favorite games. It's silly and it has a lot of value after it's over. It's called Graphic Jam. And so if your kids are with you, definitely they should play because anyone can do this and it's fun. So in the first round, there's going to be 2 rounds. In the first round, I'm going to give you time. And the second round, I'm going to rush you. Okay. So in the first round, I'm going to ask you to just take time and draw the words that you see on the screen using the visual alphabet. And if you don't need the visual alphabet because you're already really skillful, then just draw these words as you would naturally do that. Okay?
Oh, can I do this as well?
Yes, I think you should. I'll do it too. And I'm gonna, as I share new words, just draw the next word as well. Okay.
अभी नहीं पूछ सकती मैं. हम लोग clock बनाएं. Sunny, you searched up the Urdu yourself. I am so impressed.
I love how beautiful the language is. Look at the visual. It's a visual language. It's so beautiful. But yes, I was happy to, although I know there's lots of other languages, you know, but I was like, okay, well, that's the national language. I also was hoping I didn't get any of it wrong. Like, you know?
No, this is perfect.
So far, good. So
right.
That's awesome.
And ghadi for clock is also right.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome.
You're on point so far. Book and kitab, yeah.
Awesome.
pronunciation करके बताओ किताब.
Oh, khushi, joy.
Mm-hmm. And once you've drawn plan, that's the end of round 1. So Sahir, let me know when you're ready for round 2.
Okay, I have drawn mine.
Okay.
People, show us in your comments if you are done with these 5 tasks.
How can I show you?
Just write we're done.
Mm-hmm.
We'll wait for another 1 minute before we move on to the next level.
Yes.
I've enjoyed doing this. I'm sure my loaf of bread looks nothing like a loaf of bread, but but I've enjoyed doing this.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, the book is okay. Joy is a stick figure. The clock is striking 8. I don't know why.
Maybe that's a magic number.
maybe. I thought of where the needles should point, and I don't know why they're just striking 8.
That's awesome. Okay.
Okay. So we are done with the first 5. I've started getting those comments, so we can move.
Okay, wonderful. So in round 2, you're going to have 10 seconds to draw each concept, okay? So when I say I'm going to count, I'm not going to count out loud, but I'm going to count inside. And when I say stop, you have to stop. And you have to start drawing the next one. And it's going to go really fast, like a lightning round, okay?
Okay.
Do you want us to explain that in Urdu or?
I'm just going to do that. Thank you. नेक्स्ट राउंड के लिए हमने करना ये है कि जो भी टास्क हमें सनी देंगी उसके लिए हमें 10 सेकंड मिलेंगे. वी वुड हैव 10 सेकंड्स टू डू इट. 10 सेकंड वो क्वाइटली अपने दिमाग में गिन रही होंगी एंड देन व्हेन द 10 सेकंड्स आर अप तो वो स्टॉप बोलेंगी. जब वो स्टॉप बोलें तो हमने रुक जाना है. जहां तक भी ड्राइंग कंप्लीट हुई है उसको वहीं छोड़ के वी हैव टू स्टॉप और हम फिर सनी की नेक्स्ट इंस्ट्रक्शन का वेट करेंगे.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so it's going to begin as soon as the word appears, you start, okay? And go.
Magic.
Stop. Next word. Stop. Next word. Stop. Next word. Stop. Last word. Stop.
Whoa.
Very good. So why do you think I want you to do this exercise? What do you think is useful?
Do you want me to answer that for you?
Sure. And if people want to chat, I don't know if they can chat.
We can. That's what I was thinking. Okay, let's get our mummies to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, why do you think Sunny made us do this speed drawing? We have the first comment here. It says, it made me feel good.
Okay. Even round 2? That's awesome. What else?
Okay, we have Namra who says we're done with the 5. We have Ruhefa. She's saying because of reflex.
That's right. Yeah. So
the first thing that comes to your mind?
Yes. Because everybody overthinks drawing.
Yes. Speech drawing made me realize my drawing has become horrible.
It's like a muscle, you know, and if we don't exercise it, it gets like slack. You know, the same for me too, because I spend a lot of time doing other things that I have to do. So it's like a language, you know, it can disappear and reappear. So I'm sure it's not horrible. It's just not perfect. So this game, I have people play it in a small scale and also large scale. And the visual alphabet, it's useful just to start to unpack any concepts that you have. So if you are in a classroom and they're talking about biology, then you need to know how to draw a cell. You can easily use the visual alphabet to draw absolutely any concept. So it's really simple and useful. But then when you do it fast, it changes the whole situation, right? So when you're working quickly, you just have to do it. And it's a little bit like improvisation. You just take an action and move, take an action and move, take an action and move. So it's stressful for some people when I have a timer on them, but it also helps them to just like drop all the craziness in the mind and just take action. And also there's no perfect image, right? So discovery can be visualized 100 ways, 1,000 ways, right? People often will get stuck like, oh, what's the perfect symbol for learn? And the truth is, it's just up to you. It's whatever symbol works for you. And also, I always label them. So if I use a light bulb for learn, for example, I put the word learn next to the light bulb, right? So that if somebody else comes and looks at it, they also understand, and I make the link in their minds as well. And so find the symbolic language that is yours, and you can make your own graphic vocabulary. You know, you can have shine can mean a light bulb would work for shine too. You know, it would work for discovery. It would work for all those things. So just I encourage people to not overthink looking for the answer. There's many answers, and it's good to just put a timer on and give yourself 100 words and then see what happens. You know, you start to build the muscle. So it's just a really fun.
Wow.
So are there any questions? Let me know if there are.
Okay, so there's a comment which says, it revealed so much about my son. He's 7. His speed drawing has impressed me with his ideas. I did not expect him to draw what he did. Wow.
That's fantastic. See, and he has still a really active visual brain, right? Because he hasn't like the rest of us, it falls off. You know, we become adults and we don't remember, oh, how would I draw that concept? Like, how would I do it? So he has that is still in him, still alive in him. So that's wonderful. And I would encourage him to keep going, like not to let it wither, but to actually keep going and stepping into it.
Wow. Okay, so Namra mentions, after listening to the detail of the second round, Ishal replied, we will not go into the details if we need to finish it in 10 seconds.
Right.
That's
exactly right. Well, you nailed it. That is correct. And not that we don't ever use detail, depending on what the goal of an activity is. Of course, we would like to have detail, but a lot of times when you're in a classroom or you're learning something, you don't have time to fill in every little part of the butterfly wing. You just got to get the concept and do it and write and keep paying attention to the teacher. So I love this kid. Isn't he the same one that was about the green flower?
Yes. This is the same kid who was drawing stick figures like the one that's on our screen.
Oh, so good. I'm so happy he's here. Yes, that is exactly right.
Yeah, so we can move to your next slide, Sunny. We don't have more questions. We just have a lot of thank yous and comments which are coming in.
Oh, okay, great. So I want to also encourage you to do the final activity, which has to do with changing. Remember earlier when I showed you this slide, this one? So I just want to give y'all an opportunity to take some language and turn it into a visual information, okay? So I found this wonderful book. It's called Malala's Magic Pencil. And she is an advocate for education, just like all of us are, encouraging people to be brave and to step into however you need to learn. And in this book, it's amazing that I don't know if they did this on purpose in the book. It's a book called Malala's Magic Pencil. They show the journey of her being a note taker and then becoming visually literate. And I don't think they did it on purpose, but in the early pages, it's like letters on a page and a list. And then in the later pages is visual information coming out of her journal. So I thought it was like perfect representation of that path that we all can go on. And then this wonderful quote. So one child, one teacher, I modified the quote to include the mums. One child, one teacher, one mom, one book, and one pen can change the world. And we all know that that's true. You know, that is how you awaken. You start to step into curiosity and be interested. So I wanted to give you a chance to take I would take 5 minutes for this experience. I know we're a little over. Is that okay, Sahir?
That's fine. That's fine with us.
Okay. I'm sorry about that. So just convert that phrase into your version of a visual representation of that. So use any shape you want, any lettering or fonts, any color or texture, any detail you want, and just take that phrase and turn it into a visual explanation, okay? And you have 5 minutes. Are there any questions?
तो ये जो हमारे पास quote है, one child, one teacher, one mom, one book and one pen can change the world को हमने एक तस्वीरी शक्ल देनी है. We have to paint, illustrate, draw, sketch, doodle this quote into what it can visually represent. कोई भी ऐसी चीज जो इसको एक तस्वीरी शक्ल दे दे. Not necessarily one element. जरूरी नहीं है कि कोई एक चीज बनाए. It can be a combination of different elements जिससे आप मिलाकर अपनी इस तस्वीर को पूरा और मुकम्मल करें. And we would love to have you do this. And after the session, you can start posting them on the group.
Yes.
So we're giving you 5 minutes. अगर आप उसके beyond भी अपनी continue करना चाहें तो after the session आप कर लीजिएगा after we are done with the live session. But for now, we have 5 minutes to do this. Anybody who would like to draw it, please do. अगर आपके साथ बच्चे बैठे हुए हैं और आप उनको भी समझाना चाहते हैं कि वो कुछ ड्रॉ करना चाहते हैं, please let them do it. However they want to express this, they are more than welcome. You might be surprised कि वो one mom को कितना important समझते हैं. Because you are your kid's hero, no matter what the rest of the world thinks about you.
Yes, right. Mm-hmm. I'm going to mute myself, Sahir, and go refill my tea, okay?
Sure.
They have until 11, or they have until, it's 8, your time, 8:12 or 9:12?
Yes, it's 9:08 at the moment. So we'll be reconnecting. I mean, you can just switch your mic off and come back whenever.
Yes.
And we're doing this task.
Yes, and if you finish early, then add the details that Eshal was talking about you don't have time for. Add as many details as you want, and also break things down into like a little hub and spoke. So if you have like one book, draw pages from the book and letters on the book, like elaborate on anything you have if you have more time.
Perfect.
I'll be back.
One child, one teacher, one mom, one book and one pen can change the world. ये लिखा हुआ.
ये इसने बनाया.
हाँ, ये कह रही है इसको एक तस्वीर बनाना है. इस कोटेशन को एक तस्वीर में चेंज करना है. No. बन रहा है.
We still live.
We still live, yes.
You have to say something, sir.
Guys, कोई confusion अगर हो तो feel free to ask questions. I'm still here. Sunny will be back in 5 minutes. By then हम लोगों की drawing complete हो गई होगी. मैं भी बना रही हूँ आप लोगों के साथ साथ.
Right. Right. vision or
Hmm. घर वाला कोई नजर नहीं आ रहा
All right. Okay. Time is up. I
Wow,
can't
that
wait.
was fast.
Yeah, right. It was fast. And so I can't wait to see what people share on Facebook. And you know, when you are in a learning environment and there's a lot of content coming, it does happen fast. So it helps to be comfortable with it turning into whatever it is instead of what you fantasize it will be. So they stay present with the content coming, you know. And what's beautiful is you can trust the process. So you will get better over time, just like speaking, you know, and reading. It's the same thing. So just allow it to be what it is and then trust that it will continue it will blossom over time. And I wanted to share this last slide. This is one of my favorite neuroscientists named Oliver Sacks. He is not a typical learner. He was like very diverse in his neurology, and he was so encouraging of all the multisensory ways that we learn. So I just adore him. So I wanted to close with this, which is to encourage the moms to step into this creativity and this learning and this visual thinking and be the hero for the children that you can be. So nothing is more wonderful or more to be celebrated than something that will unlock a person's capacities and allow her to grow and think. And that is all visual literacy is for. That is what it is all about, is opening your potential. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be with you.
Thank you so much for joining us, and I think all of us who have attended this have had a great time, and all of us who would be watching it afterwards, because the live is often watched afterwards by a great many number of people. They would all definitely be enjoying it, and please do the activities as and when they come in the video, when you're seeing the recorded video as well. Please uh, do the activities. I've done that with Sunny's sessions previously as well on other sites that are available, where she graciously takes people through various workshops, and just treat it as a live video whenever you're watching it.
Okay,
And do
yes, do it. And also, will you be sure and share those other visual pieces to your community? The ones that I sent in the email?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you can go deeper. It gets richer and deeper. So for people that are interested in going deeper, those will be good invitations.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have some goodies for you. In fact, Sunny, would you like to announce the code that you have?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yes. So I have a visual note-taking course, and it's normally it's 75% off for the moms. So it's very affordable, and it's 5 hours of content, and you can teach, you and your kid together can learn visual note-taking. It's a 6-hour online class, and the code for y'all is a Texas word. The code is Mums Club, MUMS Club, CLUB. So if you are interested in that, I would love for you to take the class, because you can use it in any environment. You can use it in class and school and at work after you learn how to do visual note-taking. So that's just for y'all.
Thank you so much, Sunny, for this. Where can we find it? Please give us your website address.
Oh, sure. Let me get you. Do you want me to put it in the chat?
Please do. I would just put it up as a banner.
Oh, okay. Sure. That's so smart. You and the banners. I love it.
Thank you. It puts all the information in the right place. So if anybody wants to access it.
Yes, here it is. Okay. Yes, so so what I was teaching today, it elaborates on it, and it teaches you about listening and how to create visual structures and how to track content. So it's a much deeper dive. There it is in the chat.
And I'm just copying it onto a banner for you guys.
I can't believe you taught yourself StreamYard overnight.
I did. I had to.
You're a fast learner.
Necessity is the mother of invention and and learning and whatever else there is to it. Use the code MUMSCLUP to avail huge. Thank you so much for the discount for our members.
Oh, I'm delighted. Yes.
And I am for sure going to. There, guys. So you have the deep self-design.teachable.com, and you can use the code Mums Club to avail 75% off on that lovely course. I'm going to sign in and I'm going to sign up for this for sure because Mike would love to do this.
Oh, good. I will sign you up for free. You are a special session.
Thank you so much. But I would love to join this course and I would love to teach it to everyone that can benefit from it. It's not just the children. It is the teenagers. It is kids who go to college. It is people who attend meetings at work and take points of the meetings. So visual note taking is not only for students. Yes, earlier you start, the more practiced and better you get at it.
Yes.
But there's never too late to learn. So
Never
please
too late.
head to this site. There's no end to learning. Everything else. Yeah. So this code is already active and you guys can head over. Thank you so much, Sunny, for joining us.
I'm so happy to finally meet you.
I am so glad that we got to meet. And whenever you plan to visit Karachi, please come over. And whenever we visit the US, you're staying at my place, and I am definitely visiting you whenever I visit the US.
Yes, whenever we have life coming back in this,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Go visit Facebook page to see what people have created.
Thank you. Thank you. Sunny is on our group. Please keep posting whatever you've done in the last 5 minutes. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We look forward to your posts. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.